It's time for TWiT This Week in Tech, episode 299. Alex Lindsay's in studio. Natali and Clayton Morris are visiting us, and from jolly old Will Harris. He's going to talk about the royal wedding and its impact on the internet. Plus, the PlayStation Network is collapsing and a whole lot more. Stay tuned. TWiT is next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Audio bandwidth for This Week in Tech is provided by Winamp for Android, the ultimate media player for your desktop and Android device, featuring wireless sync. Download it free at winamp.com/Android. Video bandwidth for TWiT is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. This is TWiT, This Week in Tech, episode 299, recorded May 1st, 2011. Business Casual G-Men. This Week in Tech is brought to you by ICE.com. Treat Mom right this year and give her something she wants for Mother's Day at ICE.com. Get 25% off quality jewelry at affordable prices and guaranteed delivery for Mother's Day through May 4th. Only at ICE.com/TWiT. And by Go to My PC. Attention iPad owners, access your applications and files on your home or office computer from your iPad with Go to My PC by Citrix. For your free 30-day trial, visit gotomypc.com and use the promo code TWiT. And by Audible.com. Sign up for the Platinum plan and get 2 free books. Go to audible.com/TWiT2. And don't forget to follow Audible on Twitter. User ID audible_com. It's time for TWiT This Week in TWiT. And I guess it's technology, but, you know, it's so self-referential that it might be really This Week in TWiT. Hey, look who's here. Speaking of TWiT, the man who is our host on Mac Break Weekly. He also is the producer of Mac Break, Mr. Alex Lindsay of the Pixel Corps. Hello.
Hello. I wandered over.
Hello, Alex.
Yes.
Great to have you. So
Good to be
nice. This is, you know, we see you all the time on Tuesdays for
Right, there's a lot of people right now that are confused.
yeah.
They're
Wait a
like,
minute. That's
Sunday.
his Mac Break Weekly seat.
Yeah.
No, it's good to have you. In fact, there's a lot to talk about this week.
Yeah.
In fact, that's why we brought in a token British person, Mr. Will Harris from channelflip.com. Hi, Will.
There's only one thing to talk about this week, Leo. We all know, and that is that dress. The dress.
The
The dress that fluttered 1,000 hearts.
What about the hat? The hat that made people go, what? What?
I saw that somebody started a Twitter account for the hat.
Princess Beatrice's hat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I thought was most
I'm going to
excellent.
follow Beatrice's hat. That's good. She's the one who had it had like a little loopy things.
They're kind of like antlers. If you follow it, you're kind of legally obliged to shoot it afterwards.
But there's a lot of competition in the UK, isn't it, over hats?
Yes, and there was a big controversy because the wife of the British Prime Minister arrived not wearing a hat. And some thought this was kind of refreshingly modern, and some thought it was downright insolent. So that's been a little mini micro controversy.
I just think it's kind of odd for somebody to wear such a flamboyant hat. Doesn't she upstage just a little bit the bride?
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. But then the bride was almost upstaged by her own sister. So that was a close run thing as well.
Look at that hat.
That's a lot of hat.
That is the strangest thing. And one on the right.
The thing is, you have to do the Lady Gaga makeup if you're going to wear a hat like that. You can't just put on some eyeliner and some gloss. You got to go for it.
Yeah, she was kind of going for Gaga and kind of hit just Gaga.
Lowercase. Lowercase. Gaga. Wow. Well, anyway, now we know what the Royals really are thinking about is where they can get a better deal on a hat. So I guess I should do some royal wedding news. I mean, nobody in the tech industry really cares. I have to say,
I do.
Oh, really? Well, then you're confirming my very sexist tweet in which I said the royal wedding is the Steve Jobs keynote for girls.
Yeah, Clayton retweeted it.
Yeah,
I totally agree. I was up at 4 a.m. and I kept running in the bedroom saying, "Wake up, she's getting in the car." And he was like, "Stop doing that."
I was like, "Would you please close the door?" She's like, "It's a fairy tale. One moment she's going from becoming a commoner, now she's going to be royalty." I'm like, it's 4 in the morning. Would you get the hell out of the bedroom?
She's a duchess now, right? What is she? Duchess something or other?
Duchess of Cambridge.
Duchess of Cambridge.
It's important.
Speaking as an Oxonian, Will, does that bother you?
No, because neither of them went to Oxford or Cambridge. She's Duchess of Cambridge, the place, rather than Cambridge, the university. So that doesn't really bother me.
I have a question. Does she change her last name?
Yes.
Yes, she's Windsor.
Kate Windsor.
Oh.
But even the Windsors don't use Windsor or Saxe-Coburg.
Not really. They kind of just use R.
R. E. I'm Elizabeth. You don't need to know any more than that. She's
Elizabeth
like Prince.
R.
She's like Elvis. She's like, you know.
The Queen is like Elvis.
Yeah,
there we go.
She's in the one-name camp. There are only a few people who are in that camp. Lady Gaga, that's 2 names. See, that doesn't,
Sting.
Doesn't quite
Sting, there you go.
Madonna.
Madonna, there you go.
Leo.
Yeah. I am the Leo.
You know, if you do Leo now on Google, you come up second.
I know, I'm mad. I used to come up 4th though, so it's an improvement. Because
wait, when you Google Leo,
no, you get Leo horoscope.
The horoscope still beats me.
Yeah.
I'm lobbying for a change to the name of that sun sign. Let's call it, I don't know, Leo Vitch. And then that way I won't have to worry about it. Hey, there is tech news. Let's talk about it. God. Well, all right, wait a minute. There's royal tech news. So, true to what anybody expected, the royal wedding did, in fact, break streaming records. Lots of people watched it online. Is that any surprise? 300,000 concurrent views.
I thought it was 1.6 million at its peak.
This is live stream. So there were different streamers, right? So you can add it all together.
Okay.
Total unique viewers on live stream, 2 million. Live stream was doing the CBS Entertainment Tonight, Associated Press, UK Press Association coverage. Akamai said that it did more streaming. Akamai is a CDN, a content distribution network. So it has, it serves a lot of people, including probably all of these other guys. Akamai said that they had, let me find the story again. It somehow got replaced by Beatrice's hat. Akamai said that 4.6 million page views every time. Princess area, 4.6 million page views per minute on the news site. Akamai did say, though, this fell well short of the 10.3 million page views per minute of the presidential election victory for Barack Obama. And, surpassing Obama's election victory, but falling short to the World Cup qualifying match.
Yeah, beat the presidential
World Cup
inauguration.
number 2, 3, 4, 5 on the list.
Right. And the longest Wimbledon match in history. Oh, I see. So the record for streaming was set last June during the World Cup qualifying match and the longest Wimbledon match in history, both happening at the same time. That's when the internet just went gaga. Kaput.
Everyone was saying, well, this will be the ultimate test of the internet on Friday during this coverage. Would it be able to hold up to the girth of people going there to watch this live stream, people like Natali tuning in? But does it show where around the world most people were watching these live streams? I think probably the reason it held up is because most of the U.S. was asleep.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We were busy doing something more important.
Right.
I also wonder how the cellular phone coverage held up there, because we probably would have heard if one of the coverage, like Orange, had stopped out and you weren't able to get your MMS across of the hat and Lady Louise or whoever.
Lady Beatrice. We do know that tweeting volume was heaviest in London, New York, Toronto, New South Wales, Paris, and Sao Paulo, in that order. Sentiment, according to Trender, which keeps track of this stuff, was mostly positive, 58% positive, 24% of tweets registered as neutral, 18% saying, get this thing off my Twitter, 64% of them from women, 36% from men. That adds up to 100%, so I guess there's no third choice. Members of the royal wedding. Well, sometimes
Children.
Children. Members of the.
Wait, how much percent? How many percent for women?
It's 2/3 women, 1/3 men.
Oh.
That's about.
And there was also a top trending Twitter topic this week, by the way, as a result of largely from the royal wedding, which was the hashtag "Please shut up if." It was one of the top trending topics. And please shut up if. And one of the things was, if you have no respect for Prince William and Kate or any of the royals, please shut up.
Shut up. Just shut up. I think that actually was from the Queen.
Yeah, Clayton.
Yeah, Clayton.
Yes.
Top,
Yes, definitely the Queen.
Top hashtags. By the way, at the peak, all of the Twitter trends were the royal wedding.
Also, we didn't really couch this at the top of the show, but Clayton and I, for those of you listening in, are married. So I might jab him a few more times than the other guests.
They're the battling Bickersons of TWiT. Not only are they married, they have a lovely child. What's your child's name?
Oh, we just gave him a little shot of whiskey, and
that's sweet.
No, we actually kept him up longer on purpose today.
Aren't
We're like,
you
we
sweet?
need to not give you a nap today, so you can sleep during TWiT. So he's actually
he's joining a large number of people who sleep during TWiT. Don't knock it. 1 million mentions of the hashtag #PoundRoyalWedding. There isn't is there a place where you could find out what the canonical, like the official? There's no official hashtag for anything, is there?
No.
Like a place where you can find it, like verified hashtag.
Like, I want to know, well, should I do #RW? Shall I do pound the event of the century? Kate and Wills? What should I pound?
I guess
Pound the table.
yeah.
Go ahead, Will. I set you up. You just knocked that one down right there.
Yes.
What shall I pound? 42% of all the royal wedding-related tweets came from the website twitter.com, 39% from mobile devices. Remember, Twitter is really trying to shut down these third-party mobile platforms like Uber Media. They want everything to come from their official clients. But really, I mean, look at this. More than a plurality came from the Twitter website, where you see all the ads, all the trends.
I wonder if that had to do with a lot of people watching the live stream, and it's just convenient if you're watching.
Oh,
the live
you're already
stream,
you're already there.
To tweet.
Top hashtags: #PoundRoyalWedding, #RW2011. It says here, according to Mashable, the official royal wedding hashtag.
And one of the other top hashtags, almost the same day, was "I left you because."
You're such a romantic, Clayton.
I'm just saying. It was honestly one of the top trending hashtags.
You know, wait a minute.
Trend,
we started the show. I introduced Alex, and then the whole thing fell apart. Let me introduce the rest of our panel. We did say hello, Alex, from the Pixel Corps. We did say hello from Channel Flip to Mr. Will Harris, because he's our official wedding commentator.
Royal wedding correspondent.
Yeah. But I neglected to say hello to Natali and Clayton Morris. Natali Morris, it's great to have you on your first day of freedom.
Yeah, it is. I don't have to write loaded today because someone else is doing it tomorrow. I'm formerly of CNET and CBS Interactive.
So you announced that you were leaving some time ago, but your last loaded was yesterday.
It was Friday.
Friday.
Yeah.
Wow. How does that feel?
Liberating and scary and good. It feels really good, actually.
You haven't really said exactly what's happening. Are you taking another job? Do we know what you're doing?
No, I haven't found another job yet. There is the hope of another job, but none.
So you do want a job?
Yet,
you want a full-time job? Because I can offer you a very part-time job.
Actually, you know, I'm kind of seeing what the universe has available for me, because I want something that's flexible so that I can take care of my boys.
That's exactly what I was telling my business partner, Lisa Kensel, just the other day. I bet she wants a job where she could take care of her boys, have more time for herself, and yet still be in the limelight.
Well, I don't know how important the limelight.
No, okay, rephrase that. Still perform your duties as a reporter.
You know, so I think about this, like, I am an on-air personality, and so I'm constantly asking myself how much I care about putting my face as a part of my journalism, or do I just want to write? And I feel like I got to stick with the face thing for a little bit longer, and then someday people won't want to see my face. So maybe I'll do it for a little longer. But there is the hope or the possibility that maybe I just write, because that's how I started my career, as a writer, not as a TV person. But I'm interviewing for TV jobs as well as writing jobs, and I've got some freelance work as well that I'm working on with Consumer Reports and Forbes.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
So it was really just that you hated CBS, and that's why you left.
I'm gonna.
How do you like that, Clayton? That's the Donald Trump question, right?
Yeah. I'll give you the thumbs up for that one.
No, but I mean, that's what it sounds like now, is that you just didn't want to work there anymore. You want to work somewhere, but not there.
I'm going to not say much more about that.
Good.
Whatever Tom said about ask Tom and Jason what it's like.
Yeah. No, I understand.
But I mean, doing a show, I mean, you know this from doing broadcasting for so long, Leo, when you do a show for so long, and, when you really don't have any producers to help you, and so you're writing a show every day, and it's incumbent, you don't see that really changing, that structure really changing, and I don't want to put words in her mouth, but, you get exhausted.
This guy, Clayton Morris, is Natalie's husband, the father of her child, and the host of Fox and Friends, as well as a podcaster, a prolific podcaster.
Yeah, we've got, this has been great. We're trying to build a sort of lifestyle network around some of the shows. We've got a bunch of parenting shows that we're doing.
That's neat.
At Grizzly Productions. So we've got our flagship show, Grizzly Bear Egg Cafe, but we've got, Natali just launched a new show on our nascent network, Mommy Beta, which is a show with 4 new moms. We've got our Daddy on Board show. So we're having fun.
Really, that's what you should be doing, right? Is doing your own thing. Why not,
Right. Yeah. And Clayton and I have a show called The Trending Show, where we run down the things that are trending on Google search terms and on Twitter. So that's why he knows all these hashtags. It's from The Trending Show.
Our hashtag expert, Clayton Morris.
Yeah, he's not really using I left you because.
Please shut up. I left you because. And not only does he know about him, but apparently he participates, because I see an I left you because tweet from you, Clayton.
Right. I left you because you wouldn't join me at Baskin-Robbins for their free 31-cent scoop the other night, which was also trending on Wednesday night.
No, I think that really I think that's great. I encourage you to do that. Everybody who works in mainstream media fantasizes about doing their own thing and controlling it 100%.
Leo would never do that, though.
I personally couldn't afford to, so. No, actually, I'm just trying to build a mainstream media outlet so I could tell other people what to do.
I'm curious, do you find it, there's so many people who listen to your shows and find what you do so inspiring and at the same time perhaps liberating, but because you're running the day-to-day operations of everything, do you find it as liberating?
Well, it's
Merlin Mann says you always are working for a man. You're working for the man somehow. Are you working for yourself?
Well, yeah. If you're the man, that's even worse, right?
Right.
No, I think that it's on balance it's far preferable to do your own thing, don't you think? Everybody. And then what I try to do now, obviously now in order to grow, we've had to hire people and use people. And, you could speak to this as well, Will, because you're running Channel Flip, which is also a broadcast style operation on the internet. What happens is you do hire people, and then they're complaining because they don't have full control. So what I've tried to do is do, it's almost the United Artists model. Remember when Charlie Chaplin and Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks formed a movie studio because they were unhappy with being told what to do in the old style movie system, the contract player system. And so they formed United Artists, and the whole idea is it's almost a co-op of performers, and that's what I've been trying to do here, so that people have a sense of at least owning their own destiny somewhat. So it's very loose here. But yeah, there's burdens, Clayton. You have to write checks and stuff, but it's still far preferable, I think.
Yeah.
So go for it, Grizzly. Go for it.
Yeah, we're having fun,
I think that's great.
Until I have to start writing checks.
Yeah, well, as long as it's your wife, it's free, right?
Right. That's the beauty.
Those are my new bosses.
I would encourage all of you out there to hire your wives.
I tried to, but Jennifer wanted so much money. I couldn't afford it. So I was just speaking of the Google. I was just looking at Google, and they've got an interesting Google Doodle on here. Let me pull this up. Anyway, welcome, Clayton and Natali. It's great to have you. And Natali, great to have you on your first day or second day of freedom.
Thank you. I'm just thrilled that I'm still relevant.
Oh,
That's the one thing that is the scariest is you leave a big network like CBS and you realize, wow, this has a lot of gravitas. It puts a lot of weight behind my name. Now I'm just kind of freelance technology journalist. So you just hope that you continue to be relevant.
I think the world is freelance these days. I really think increasingly the idea of working for a company seems very outmoded.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the model that we've kind of built around a lot of stuff.
All about.
Yeah, I mean, we very, very small core number of people who kind of keep everything pulled together, and then lots and lots and lots of freelancers, that are working.
So I was mentioning this new Google Doodle. This is wild. I don't know really what they're celebrating, but look at this. It's a magnifying glass.
Yeah, go over to the dancer on the far right in the little window.
Isn't it
the dancer's
Mayday?
dancing?
Oh, they're wow. This is to show off, obviously, HTML5. Yeah, it's May Day. You think this is for May Day? Because Happy May Day.
Yeah, because it's like a fairground.
Well, they'll tell us. No, it's the 160th anniversary of the first World's Fair.
Then I take it back.
They pick weird-ass stuff to celebrate on here. Now, it's different in England, though, isn't it? I mean, this is America, Google.
No, we have it as well.
Oh, you've got Google in England?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like there's like a whole different extension. There's like a different domain, but somehow it's kind of the same.
No, I was being somewhat facetious. I know you have Google, and now I understand you have automobiles as well, which is exciting.
Unfortunately, they're all driving on the wrong side of the road.
They haven't figured that part out yet, but we'll cut them some slack. They're new to it.
We also have hashtags.
Yes.
Unlike you guys, you have pound tags, which is a little bit weird.
We call them hashtags too here.
Yeah, but then you say pound something.
Because nobody
right?
knows if you say hash royal wedding.
Yeah.
No,
because it's a hashtag.
Oh, I know what it is.
And the sign is a hash.
Well, it's a pound sign. That's the same thing as a hash.
No, the pound sign
Well,
is
to
the
them, a
currency.
pound sign is a dollar sign.
Oh. Well, to us, hash is something you make out of corned beef. So there.
Or something you
Well,
smoke.
to us, hash is something you smoke. So.
So there.
So there. What is it that Winston Churchill said? The U.S. and the U.K. are two countries separated by the same language. I think
That's pretty good.
And by a very special.
Actually,
kiss.
I was saying that about the royal wedding this week, which is that when people complain about the royals, I always just say, like, without the royal family, England would just be a slightly rubbisher version of America.
We just interrupted Will with a kiss. So I think that was the moment, though, wasn't it? That the biggest. That's when everybody was watching.
That was it. Everybody wanted to see them smooch on the balcony.
Yeah. All right.
And that was also the shot where the little girl put her hand over her ears.
Yes, they cut that out. But that's the other thing you're trying to find is what is the big internet meme for the royal wedding, you know? And there's a couple. I have to find one. I don't know if
It's definitely the little girl.
Yeah, it was so cute.
Yeah, because it went off without a hitch. The rest of it was great. There was no other little thing that was worth talking about. The little girl was all people could, all the like newspapers like The Sun or the New York Post could lay them onto.
Yeah, there was nothing really else to talk about.
It's funny what was trending on the day of the wedding was Kate Middleton wedding, Pippa, what else? The Queen, royal wedding, but nowhere was the groom or Prince Charles mentioned. No one cares at all. And he's the whole reason that she becomes royalty, but who cares about Willie?
He's got that Windsor horse face, so it's not.
No. Oh, come on.
You think he's handsome?
He's got a Habsburg chin.
Yeah, he's not as handsome as Harry.
Oh, well, I think I don't know. He looks a lot like his mom.
So here's
he's endearing.
Here's the bit of the picture that they usually cut out is this little girl here, and so that's become a new internet meme. For instance,
She's so awesome.
Here she is with the Donald. Now that's quite good.
The thing is, I just hope it doesn't damage the rest. The rest of her life is going to be about you're the girl who.
Well, she's
the new keyboard cat.
Is she? Is that Pippa? Who is that? Natali Morris, our royal wedding correspondent.
I thought it was Lady Louise, the daughter of Prince Edward. But I'm not sure.
She's 4 years old.
The girl with the crazy hat was Princess Beatrice.
That's Beatrice.
Oh, no. I mean the little girl covering her ear.
I don't know who the little girl is.
Come on, you're our royal wedding commentator.
Yeah, she has a weird name.
I was too fixated on
and
Pippa
therefore
Middleton.
we don't want to pronounce it.
Okay, then.
It's like in any sort of news read. If she's got an unpronounceable name, you just
Grace
skip over it.
Van Cutzen.
Oh yeah, see there you go. Nobody wants to say. They can't say. Well, Grace, you're a meme. Congratulations. The internet is so cold.
I think the other meme has to be the cartwheeling clergyman, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the other big meme of the week from the wedding was the cartwheeling clergyman. And, they had up just one of those pool cameras set up after the event. And he comes down and he does like 4 cartwheels in a row. And presumably it's because everything went off without a hitch. I mean, he was excited, did the cartwheels, and the pool camera ended up picking up on it.
Charlie Sheen and the girl.
We need a name for her, like Keyboard Cat.
Yeah, she
Some
really
kind of
is.
name, like
It's the Shut Up Girl.
yeah.
They call her the Shut Up Girl.
The Flower Girl, annoyed Flower Girl. I don't know. The chat room can do better than.
I think Frowning Flower Girl is what they're calling it in the Today Show. The Frowning Flower Girl.
So how about that PlayStation Network, huh?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Let's talk about something that actually makes a difference
It went
to somebody.
down because of the royal wedding.
That's it. Royal wedding hackers took down the PlayStation Network. Did anybody watch the press conference today from Japan? That's a bad sign when you're having a press conference on a Sunday.
No, I tried to watch it on my PlayStation, and it wouldn't let me. So I couldn't get on.
All right, well, I'm going to give you guys 60 seconds to go and watch it.
They had the transcripts, I think.
Read the transcripts, but we're going to take a little break and come back in just a moment. Do you want to show off some jewelry, Lisa? Do you have some? Go get some jewelry. Well, she's not ready. Go get the jewelry. We'll do it next. We have some. Well, no, we were talking about the royal wedding. We should do it now. We're talking about ice.com. Do you know about ice.com?
Evidently, they have jewelry. That's what I'm guessing.
Every husband, Clayton.
Yeah, Natalie, mute your computer because this is where I'll be ordering your Mother's Day gift.
Oh, that's right. Mother's Day is May 8th. Let's not forget. Yeah. Every husband, Will Harris. And by the way, international, ice.com. This is absolutely the place to check out. Look at this. This is the Princess Diana ring. We got one here. I'm going to get it for you. You can get it on ice.com. And it's not going to cost you $18 million like it did Charles. They've got it's a 4-carat sapphire and diamond engagement ring, 14-carat white gold. Isn't that beautiful? $595. Look at, we got it right here on ice.com. Let me pull up the
Where do you want it?
we have a special ice.com cam.
You do?
Yeah. Hold on. I'm going to pull it up here. Go ahead, put your finger in the ice.com cam
Where's that?
shot.
Here?
Right there. Let me
That's the...
unsqueeze it. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? That's the Kate. Is this also from ice.com?
Yes.
That's beautiful. Look at that. You could be a princess.
I recommend this.
Which one?
This one.
That's your
And
favorite?
this one.
That's the
How
that's
did
the
they-
$595.
All the jewelry they sent.
That's amazing.
Those are the nicest.
I want you to go to ice.com and treat mom something special this year. Mom could be your wife if she's a mom. Give her something she wants for Mother's Day at ice.com. 25% off quality jewelry at affordable prices and guaranteed delivery through May 4th. But you have to go to ice.com/twit. Ice.com gives you the real thing, quality fine jewelry at affordable prices. Items like diamond earrings, sapphire bracelets, even engagement rings, even the Princess Diana engagement ring within your price range. I'm telling you.
It's a great website, too.
Oh, yeah, they've done a really nice job with this.
You can see little videos that, kind of rotate around, show you. Because a lot of times, you're going to spend that kind of money online. You're not going to want to, you want to know what you're actually buying
Look at the
more than a
detail.
photo.
Look at that. I could tell you, I've seen this ring. It's gorgeous. I swear, I don't know how they make it so affordable. They also have earrings, the matching earrings. You could get the earrings with it. Wouldn't that be so cool? Look at that.
And we ordered a bunch of stuff for staff.
We
I had a
ordered
girl
bunch
at
of
work
stuff?
today tell me that she's getting a salad spinner for Mother's Day.
See, don't do that. That's bad.
Yeah.
Don't do the salad spinner. Do the ice.com. If you are a TWiT listener, you get 25% off. You have to go to ice.com/twit, ice.com/twit, and you get free guaranteed shipping through May 4th to get it in time for Mother's Day, which is May 8th. I'm talking about this is a really good deal. Let me put the special URL up so you can see it here. So you don't forget. ice.com/twit. These are I'm gonna get something for Jennifer right now. Look at that. Here's the pendant. You would like that, Natalie. Wouldn't you like to have Princess Diana's ring? I mean, it's not her actual ring. It's not like they took it off her finger or anything, but it's the same ring that Charles gave to Diana.
Does that mean that you'll have to call me Princess Natalie?
Yes.
Then yes.
No, we'll call you the Duchess.
Do they have any crowns?
Of
the
Duke
Duchess
Street.
of Morris.
Duchess of Morris. I wonder, do they think they have tiaras? And I'd love to have a tiara. Did I say that?
That's got to be a show title.
Whoops. Just slipped out. Ice.com/twit. So the PlayStation Network, Sony's talking about compensating users. Get this, a month free.
It's going to be down for a month.
Yay!
Ooh, thank you, Sony. You're so generous.
And it's only some of the services are going to be back this week.
It's not even going to be fully back.
No.
Netflix gave a month free. Didn't they just like a few weeks ago? Only just for like a day's worth of outages.
Yeah, because it was a little slow. Remember, it was a little slow coming up, so they gave you a free month.
Yeah.
So given that you've lost like basically 2 weeks by this point, it's like basically 2 months, 2 weeks free. Thanks,
and your credit card information. 77 million people affected by this because they didn't silo their information properly. And, this just speaks to, I'm curious, though, I think the most egregious thing of all of this, and you saw some of this after the earthquake, right, which was the Japanese response to trying to get out information. Everyone was trying to get information.
Sony said they're sending robots in to disinfect the PSN. Right now.
Yeah, and they're sort of tight-lipped about the whole thing, right? Why did it take a week?
Do you think that's cultural, that they just don't, they batten down the hatches?
Yeah, I mean, we certainly saw that after the other earthquake. We saw that in the 1990, what was that, the other earthquake. I can't remember the name off the top of my head because I've been up since 4 a.m. And then this earthquake, we saw the slow response. And then with Sony, this week-long wait-and-see approach before they're actually going to release any information about the fact that your credit card information is out there.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Now, I think there was they didn't admit that the credit card was out there. They just sent out an advisory. I got one saying it might be. We don't know.
How can you not know? It's ridiculous. I think there was a great quote from Kaz Hirai this afternoon saying, these illegal attacks obviously highlight the widespread problem with cybersecurity.
No, with your security.
No, it's your problem with cybersecurity.
Oh, it's everybody. No, it's everybody's problem. No, it's your problem.
Well,
and they said they've worked now with security firms to, quote, implement significant security measures to further detect unauthorized activity. And it's like, so you didn't have those in the first place? You didn't maybe think of having best-in-class security before you even launched this thing?
Well, and they also said that in the conference that it was an existing vulnerability. I mean, they knew about it. They knew what the vulnerability was, and they wouldn't talk about what it actually.
And they haven't said yet whether it was somebody using a hacked PlayStation 3 that got on the network. They don't know how the intrusion happened.
No.
The FBI
but
is
I think they
apparently
think
involved.
that the credit card information was encrypted. So I think they think that it may have been accessed.
Right.
They just don't know if it was decrypted.
Well, here's the deal. And I've learned this by doing the Security Now podcast for 6 years now. Once they get the database, it's a lot easier to brute force it. And if they just, for instance, encrypted it with a hash without salting, it would only be a matter of time before the hackers are able to decrypt it.
Yeah, because you just start doing all the brute force attacks and assuming that they haven't, given what we've seen of the PlayStation Network so far, it's not going to be best-in-class security with all the added doohickeys that would make it hard to decrypt.
This is just
Does this permanently though damage Sony in such a way where others, and they certainly wanted there to be, you're going to go there to get your films and your music as part of this network. Does this permanently cause a setback for them?
Is that what Curiosity
Absolutely.
is? So PSN is the gaming network, and then this Curiosity, is that what that is to share music and stuff, or?
It's their music sharing site.
Okay.
It's new, right?
Okay.
It's relatively new, I think.
Plus the films
You
that
can
watch
stream
through.
music and movies sort of between PlayStation 3s, HD TVs, Blu-ray players, PSPs, that kind of thing. I mean, I
And
think
Android
it is
devices, I
massively,
think.
massively
The Android
undermines
devices with the Sony skins.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
that's cool. But it
Massively
has to be an
undermines what they're trying
experience.
to do.
It's have to be a Sony Ericsson to use it.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So they say that
Or the new Sony tablets. The new Sony tablets will also have it. That were just announced this week.
I didn't hear about that. I'm going to sure run out and buy a Sony tablet right about now.
Oh, we already ordered 4.
They
because it's
actually
connected to the Sony
sounded
Cloud.
like a
It's
cool
good
thing if this hadn't happened, because you can get PlayStation content, also Sony Reader content, also they've got
It's not
the
real
sound quality of the
PlayStation content,
Walkman.
though,
Like
right?
it's basically everything good about Sony in one tablet. Unfortunately, now Sony's got this black mark on its face.
I do think
it's the
Sony.
difference between going to like a Ruth's Chris and going to an Outback Steakhouse. You get a Sony
Wait,
tablet.
who's the Ruth Chris? Is iPad?
Yeah, Ruth's Chris is iPad, or you can go get a Bloomin' Onion at Outback Steakhouse.
Chili's.
Right.
References entirely lost.
Lost.
On
It would
Well,
be
he
the
said
difference
that,
between
but
going
we
to
haven't touched it.
Wimpy's.
We should always give the competition a chance to catch up to Apple. Clayton and I argue about this all the time because I think he's a shameless Apple fanboy, and I always want someone else to come to the market and give them
I
some
agree.
competition.
Competition's good, even for Apple fanboys.
And I'm not. I just have, you try all of these other devices, and
Apple's the best.
You end up coming back to the one that works. I'm sorry.
No,
And so-
I agree with you. I got a BlackBerry Playbook the other day.
Yeah.
Very nice, great hardware, really cool. But it's not an iPad. It's not going to come even close to the iPad.
Well, and there's little things. You realize that Apple's paying attention to very, very small details. Like I was playing with it a little bit, and the first thing that hit is that when I touch the screen, it's not always reacting on the playbook. And I was like that. As an Apple user, that will
That's a
drive me
big deal.
absolutely crazy. My son, for instance, who lives on his little iPad whenever I allow him to, 3 years old, he wouldn't even. I'm sure that the playbook would drive him crazy.
I have to say,
but I mean, I think that's that's really the measure.
For those of us who did watch the Sony press conference, I was very grateful. Sony explained how the internet works in this slide here, and so I just think
unfortunately it was all in Japanese.
Well, apparently there's some bricks, and then there's some servers, and there's some more bricks.
And what I see are some arrows that look kind of like tubes, kind of like a series of tubes stacked on
if
top
you
of
notice
each
at the
other.
bottom there, Ted Stevens put this PowerPoint presentation together.
This is their slide of what happened. See, we've got a database, firewall, database, firewall, database, firewall, internet.
And then-
hub
and then
No,
of-
that's like
somebody on
from the
MSN
episode of the
Messenger.
It Crowd where they have that little black box and tell everyone that that's the internet.
This is the internet right here.
And they're like, don't break the internet. I'm holding it in my hand right now.
So they said that the attackers used some sort of database tool, but there's not much more information about that. They did say it was a highly skilled intruder, and that Sony, as soon as they realized this, brought in a second security firm, emailed customers, and then took the whole damn thing down because they couldn't figure out what was going on, and it's still down.
So really,
cool.
the reason they brought it down was not that they knew there was intrusion; they just knew that there was something wrong.
They couldn't figure out
Like something is
what
going
had happened.
sideways.
Yeah,
Right.
and of course, once they realized what was going on, they couldn't put it back up. Sony says it will, quote, consider paying for new credit cards if you have to get a new one, but their advice is not to cancel your credit cards, but to put a fraud alert on your credit report.
Wait, how do they pay? Why do you need to pay for a new credit card?
I don't
Those
know.
are free.
It's Japan. Sony says it will consider paying for maybe paying for the time.
Paying the credit card companies for the plastic?
I don't know. You know who they should pay is the companies who make Sony games that you can buy but can't play, like Portal 2 on your PlayStation 3 because you can't activate it because the PSN is down.
Yeah, I mean that's really this
Frustrating.
is where DRM really starts to come undone, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where you need to access a game via the PSN in order to authorize it to play it on the console that you've got, and because the PSN servers are down, you can't play it.
Well, I think this is really the issue that we're going to get into. I mean, we're kind of in the growing pains of cloud computing, where we saw the breakdown in Amazon, we saw the breakdown for Sony, where that this is kind of the wake-up calls that you need to make sure that you have a robust backup system, that you have everything really separated. I think we've kind of taken some of that for granted, and now we need to. I think these haven't been real showstoppers. It could be a lot worse. And
I mean, I think we were, sort of a bit critical of Sony for being not very talkative about the problems, but you could argue the same about Amazon, actually, that Amazon was remarkably uncommunicative.
And
given
Apple.
the seriousness
Apple,
of what happened to
I
them.
spoke to someone at Apple this week who was, said basically they were slow on the uptake with all the location tracking stuff, and Amazon as well. But doesn't this just speak to the larger trust issue as it relates to the cloud? Everyone's worried about this issue, and they're saying, "Oh, the cloud. Can we really worry about that?" And the contrarian approach is, "Look, we rely on all these services all the time that aren't reliable, right? I mean." We go wait for a subway on a regular basis. How often is that late and I can't get there? Or, you take public transportation, or you take highways, and you have to sit in traffic on a regular basis. So you have these outages, and I think everyone jumps on this bandwagon that, oh, this just speaks. I mean, I think there was like 1,000 or 1,500 articles all written about this idea of the cloud and it being a complete failure. And this is one of the reasons why we shouldn't rush to the cloud.
I think that's really unfortunate because I don't think this is a failure.
I think it's inevitable. I mean, I think we're going to be. I mean, when you look at where we're going, I think these are some speed bumps. I think that people doing stuff on the cloud. And I was a real naysayer for a long time because I don't like a lot of having all my data up there. I don't like all that stuff. And I've now realized that half my life is connected to the cloud now. So I mean, I do think that this is, resistance is futile at this point.
It is funny how it's all changed, right? I mean, you get a new MacBook Air, you get like the 11-inch MacBook Air or something, and the setup process, you're like, oh wait, you know what? I don't really need to migrate anything here because everything just lives in the cloud.
That's what I
just
like
need to go
about
and download the Dropbox app, and then
Right,
I've
that's
got
about it.
everything
Yeah.
again.
I download caffeine when I get a new computer to keep my screen from going to sleep. I get
You can
Drop-
download caffeine now? I'm thrilled, man. No more trips to Starbucks.
right in your veins, right? And just hook it right up to a USB
that is
port,
awesome.
and it right down.
He's
to you.
unplugged from the Matrix, so we just plug him into a chair and give him some.
You did see, you called this to our attention, Will, South Park's reaction.
To the
What do we
to
call
the
this?
Steve
Location gate? Is that what we call it now?
Jobs. Are we really calling it location gate?
Oh, come on.
It's got to be something gate. There's got to be some kind of pun based on the fact that you could go through a gate because it's a location. I don't know.
They've opened the location gate.
It should be the location open gate or something.
I think we've talked about this. We certainly talked about it on Mac Break Weekly. I think we probably talked about it on TWiT last week. My sense of this is, well, this is. I don't think Apple was attempting to spy on us. Or what do you guys think?
It looks like in their explanations. I mean, the issue is that when they say that they're not tracking you, what they're saying is that all we're trying to figure out is where all the Wi-Fi spots are and where the cell towers are. We're not trying to figure out where you are at any moment, but we are trying to figure out where those are because what that helps is accelerate a cold start. So when you turn your computer, when you come out of a plane or you come out of whatever and you have a hot start and a cold start with a GPS, and the faster the GPS knows where it is, the faster it will light up all of those connections. And so
So you're saying that's called the almanac. It keeps an almanac of previous location.
Right.
So you're saying that's all that was is the GPS almanac?
Well, it's not the GPS one because it's not using it's cheating by using basically
it's a GPS.
But by
it's using cell towers.
By using cell towers and Wi-Fi, it can more readily figure out where it is for a hot start. And so having that data in there, and then of course it also helps Apple. I mean, when you look at it helps Apple and Google figure out where they're going to do things like, someone was talking about, I was really surprised that my hometown in Montana is completely mapped out in Google. Like, and there's like one stoplight. And
how does that happen?
Why does Google map it there? Is because they've seen that there's a lot of people that are using Google services in that area because they're getting those reports back and they go, oh, well, it's worth it to map out that area because there's enough people that would actually use it.
Let me ask Clayton and Natali, what do you guys feel? Do you feel like you both probably carry iPhones, right? Natali, you carry an iPhone.
Yeah, and you buy a phone that has a GPS inside of it, and then all of a sudden you're so upset that a company would know when it's working. I think that this has kind of been blown out of proportion a little bit, and I think the mainstream media doesn't really understand it completely, so they're like, wait a minute.
There was a lot of correcting going on this week. Trust me. I mean, there was, Apple. I would see the teases in different capacities. Apple is cashing in on your location. Really? Well, I'm sorry. How are they cashing cashing in? Are they selling this now to third parties and they're trying to make money based on selling you tacos because they know that you're 34th in Vine at this moment? No. They're using it to obviously try to improve the devices and use this information however they're going to use it. But I agree with Natali in this. The AT&T has this information. Right? I mean,
and we knew that they could do this for a long time because of Mobile Me's Find My Phone. Just because you don't pay for it doesn't mean that it doesn't work. So they always have had the ability to tell where your phone was by cell tower triangulation. Just the fact that it's cached in iTunes is what's so offensive here. And I'm not offended. I already knew that it could do this.
All right, let's see what the kids in South Park think about this whole thing. I mean, I got to push some buttons to make the magic happen here. It's so
cool. While you're pushing the buttons, I'm hoping that when Apple fixes this, they leave an option that says, continue to cache or not cache. And they can default not cache. But I actually loved all the maps that I got out of it, and I'd be a little bit bummed about
you're trading location information for convenience because you get some value out of this.
Is Find My iPhone free now? It used to be part of Mobile Me.
No, it's free now.
Free. It's free now.
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to correct myself
So in
there.
effect, everybody gets it. So here's our friends in South Park explaining how all this works.
You see? And then I can take all my homework on my iPad and swipe it over to my iPhone.
Yeah, Apple stuff's pretty neat, all right. I just don't want any big company tracking where I am at all times.
That's just a rumor. They don't really track you.
Here he is. Hello, Kyle. We're from Apple. We're all ready for you now.
What? Ready for what?
To fulfill the agreement. Can we get a weight, please?
83 pounds, sir.
What agreement?
83 pounds, good. Let's get the blood work.
Hey, you can't do that!
You agreed we could take all the blood we needed.
What are you talking about?
When you downloaded the last iTunes update, a window on your screen popped up and asked you if you agreed to our terms and conditions. You clicked agree. All right, let's get him to the water tank.
The water tank? I'm not going with you.
You've agreed to all of this. Hey!
You guys! You gotta help me. These business casual G-men are trying to kidnap me.
Business casual G-men?
It's crazy, dude. They're saying it's because I agreed to the latest terms and conditions on iTunes. Why? What did the terms and conditions for the last update say? I don't know. I didn't read them. You didn't read them? Who the hell reads that entire thing every time it pops up? I do. Me too. You're telling me that every time you guys download an update for iTunes, you read the entire terms and conditions? Of course. Well, how do you know if you agree to something if you don't read it? Well, I turned off all my Apple stuff. They can't locate you if you don't have your stuff on, right?
There he is. Hey, you!
Ah!
So obviously they can. There's more to that, and I just would like to say to Comedy Central, before you pull this video off of YouTube, I'm telling everybody that they should watch the entire episode, okay? Thank you.
There's a couple of things in that, the terms and conditions, right? 15 pages.
35 last count.
35?
35
and
pages.
how often do you have to agree to those?
Pretty much all the
blinking new terms
time.
and conditions?
Every update.
All the time.
Every update.
But I think it's really interesting that, mainstream culture, quote, has caught on to this fact, things that previously would be really super nerdy, like the amount of times you had to agree to a new terms and conditions update, that's now something that's so mainstream it's in, a Comedy Central show. I think that's fascinating.
It's actually a measure of Apple's success in mainstreaming iTunes and all of this technology, that everybody knows about it and is aware about it. And I think...
But isn't this is why Facebook then changed their policy terms when it came to privacy, because they realized no one's reading this, no one understands it. Now we're going to write this just in everyday vernacular.
Which nobody still reads, but at least if you did, you'd understand it.
Right.
I think what's become very clear now, and I think every company now realizes this, is we are aware of it. People are aware of it, and it will be a story. Whether it's a legitimate story or not is irrelevant. It is important that companies tell you clearly and obviously that they're doing this. Apple didn't do that. They didn't handle it very well. If there was a failure here, it's a PR failure more than anything else. But going forward, Apple, Google, and everybody else, look, it should be obvious. It's obvious to us that if you've got a phone with a GPS, that you're being tracked, and a microphone and a camera, that this is the ultimate spy device. But I think it just behooves Apple and everybody else now to say, And they do this with other stuff. Remind us constantly. This is happening.
It's a great conversation to have for people, for people who weren't clear of it. I think a lot of us just look at it and shrug our shoulders because to us it's obvious that you would be picking that information up. But I think that for people who buy iPhones, the general population, I don't think that they even consider the idea. So I think it is a great thing to get press so that people know about it. Do I think there's any big deal? I don't really think it's that big of a deal. But I do think that it's important for people to think about it.
There's always people who will see an app and that will ask for their location. Like, why does my baby ABC app need to know my location? And you just there are people who will shrug and say, whatever. And then there are people who will go, oh, my God, this is Big Brother. I can't handle it.
Well, but who gets the benefit of these location services? The people who shrug.
Well, and the other thing to remember is that
That's what I think.
Yeah. It's not going to be Big Brother. It's going to be lawyers that really take advantage of this. I mean, my father will tell you, and my father's a lawyer, he'll tell you if there's a car accident, if he's got a client in the car accident, the very first thing he does is subpoena the phone records.
Right.
Because if you're on the phone when you're in the accident, boom, he wins. And it's just, it's just like, we're not, they'll settle. The insurance company won't even take it to court at that point. They've lost the case. And so it doesn't matter whether you're in the front or the back or sideways. If you're on the phone, you're done. And so that's the first thing he does. And what they're going to start doing is, of course, subpoenaing, GPS.
Well, law enforcement's done this all along. I mean, this is freely available to law enforcement. Hey, by the way, speaking of lawyers, both class action lawsuits against Google and Android over this. Google and Apple. Google, $50 million lawsuit seeks to stop Google from selling phones with software that can track a user's location. Now, if they succeed in that, aren't we all going to be pissed off?
Yes.
It's like this lawsuit, if they win, we'll all have feature phones thanks to these two ladies in Michigan. Thank you.
Now, the only reason that there is a class action is because Google obviously did not include the terms and conditions that AT&T.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that. I want to come back. A massive Supreme. This is so underreported that I bet you most of the people listening right now have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah. This may be the single most important story of the week. Yeah. A Supreme Court decision that changes everything. And I don't know why it didn't get more attention. Certainly should have gotten more attention than location.
Too complicated.
Yeah. Takes too much brain power. But not for our audience. They're brilliant. That's why I know that when I say, why don't you go to mypc.com right now and sign up for your free 30-day trial, they're going to go right now to mypc.com. Use the promo code TWiT after you click the Try It Free button. There's now iPad. Have you put it on your iPad yet? It's on the iPad.
I've not put it on my iPad yet.
Yeah, it's really good.
I have GoToMeeting on my
Get it on the App Store. So what happens is you put Go to My PC on your Mac or your PC, and then you leave the office, and you can go anywhere. You take your iPad with you, and it's so weird to see a Windows PC on an iPad, by the way. It's a little strange, but it works great. It's very fast. These guys at Citrix know how to really get performance out of this, even out of slower, more latent networks. They're experts. They created remote access, and in fact, that's what's licensed to Microsoft. If you work in enterprise, you know about the Citrix server. This is the best stuff. And I like it because Go to My PC for the iPad gives you the best of both worlds. It's a very thin, light device, and now you're running your computer, Windows PC. You can run any program, send and receive email, access any network resource, even email yourself data into your iPad, so you got it. Sets up in minutes. No IT help is required. The iPad app is free, and for the next 30 days, so is Go to My PC. Give it a try. Go to mypc.com, click the Try It Free button, and use the offer code TWiT. See? You're smart, and I knew you would do that. So, Alex, fill us in. What is this Supreme Court decision?
So there was a class action lawsuit against AT&T, and it got to the Supreme Court. And basically, AT&T's argument is we have it's in our terms of agreement that
you didn't read the terms of agreement.
Yes,
how can you agree to something if you don't read it?
Exactly, and they said that basically we said you can't sue us as a class action. You can't, like that you agree not to do that. And the Supreme Court upheld that ruling. So that basically what this means, and what this means effectively, because this is against the law. This was against the law in 20 states. To put that into the terms of agreement, which now is theoretically overturned by the Supreme Court. But the
Ninth Circuit said no to AT&T. That's why they went to the Supreme Court and got a very favorable ruling.
Well, this is and what will effectively happen is every EULA that you get within the next year most likely will have this clause.
It's the end. Is it the end of class action lawsuits? Now, I'm not necessarily a fan of class action lawsuits, but oftentimes the damages are so small that you're not
Right.
going to sue. You can't. The only way you can correct something, you know, it's an early termination fee. Are you going to spend $500,000 pursuing AT&T over an early termination fee of $150? You're not. On the other hand, the purpose of a class suit is that you can get AT&T to change your behavior by having to pay a class and you know, $150 each. That's now you can get some decent money out of that. Their contingency fees are higher, so you can get a lawyer to represent you. Contingency fee on $150 ain't so good. I think these class action lawsuits, I know we don't want a lot of litigation, but I think this is the only way to take care of some of these consumer issues.
And I think that one of the reasons people have been a little blasé about it is because there have been so many frivolous class action lawsuits. And so I think that what's happened is that so many people are using it when they shouldn't. And admittedly, law firms who their business is, you know, get a class action together, settle. And remember, some of these law firms are taking anywhere from 20 to 40% of the take. So, you know, you have $100 million class action that gets settled out, and they're taking $20 to $40 million off the top of that. And so those are the, you know, so that these law firms that have made it a business and gotten into this mess, you know, is I think why a lot of people just kind of roll their eyes like, well, it's probably better to not have so many. But it is very, very important to be able to have class actions is a very important tool when things are happening that are beyond the reach of criminal activity, but are, you know, wrong. and allowing people to make that decision is very, very, very important. And this is it's a big deal. It's very complicated. It would have to be fixed now in Congress.
Oh, absolutely. And all of these, think about it. And this sets a certain precedent, right? So why wouldn't every company then take this tactic immediately and start to print as tiny a print as possible, so that I would need a penguin-style monocle to start studying all the fine print in documents.
Yeah,
I see it.
They can also, the other side of the flip coin is a company like AT&T can force mediation. Say, you can't sue us. We can force that you go to mediation if you do have a problem with this. That's not the only court decision this week that kind of carries some weight. This one's a little more subtle and a little more difficult. On Thursday, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that an employee doesn't have to actually hack anything to be prosecuted for hacking. So essentially, the judge wrote, and the dissent agreed, that an employer can write a internet policy statement. If you break that policy, if you exceed authorized access, you can be prosecuted under federal anti-hacking laws. Any person... Now, I think the judges in the majority thought that this really means that if you're doing something fraudulent, you can get prosecuted. They even used the word fraudulent. But the minority decision was very clear that, in fact, you don't have to be committing fraud, just breaking the policies of your company. So get ready for all sorts of criminal prosecutions for people, you know, surfing to eBay against company policies and being accused of hacking.
Or even maybe being on someone else's account. Like, right. I'm just thinking at CNET, we always left ourselves logged into.
Never do that.
You know, our CBS mail on a podcast computer or something like that. Right. And then you see that you're not in your own account. That also opens you up to being fraudulent, even if you didn't really mean it. You just didn't realize it wasn't you that's logged in.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll discuss this. Maybe we already have on This Week in Law, where we have actual lawyers. But this is kind of a scary precedent. No hacking is required to be prosecuted as a hacker. We also got quarterly results from Apple and Microsoft this week. And for the first time in history, Apple was more profitable than Microsoft.
And more, Apple grossed and netted more than Microsoft.
Yeah.
We would have never thought that, like 15 years ago. It was
well, it's interesting because you'd expect Apple to gross, have more revenue because they're selling expensive hardware,
right?
But their margins, you would think, are so small, so much smaller than what's the margin on a copy of Windows?
Right.
Once they've done all the R&D, they could sell you, a trillion of them at the same, with full 100% profit. But in this case, Apple's hardware is so profitable, and they sold so much of it, they actually made more money
It's still less profitable as a percentage than Microsoft, but they just made a lot more money. They made 50% more money, I think.
$1 billion.
Right. They just made a little bit more margin, but they made, I think, 50% more revenue. Right. So it's still a smaller margin, but they're just outgrossing Microsoft.
Does that seem, Will Harris, like a sudden change in the way of the world?
Undoubtedly, it makes Apple, notionally the most successful computing company pretty much on the face of the planet, doesn't it?
They make more money than Google. They make more money than Microsoft.
Which is amazing. They now have enough cash in their bank account to give every single man, woman, and child in the United Kingdom $1,000. And I think they should do that.
Dream on, Will Harris. Dream on.
Just send them all an iPad.
Will's feeling cocky because he got a 4-day weekend because of the royal wedding. Now, just be
Will's
glad.
feeling cocky because he got his new toy.
You got a white one. Look at that.
Is it thicker than the black one?
Oh, by like a quarter of a millimeter, maybe.
Ah, it's about time.
About time that it's thicker, or about time that it's white?
I'm gonna refrain from making any more jokes.
There's a big. Okay. You're smart, Clayton. You're a very smart man. You're just thinking he's two words.
It went over my head.
Juan Williams. Just keep saying.
Went over my head and then slapped me in the back.
It's very
but it is right. And I read some of the cases too.
They don't fit,
right? Some of the original cases it won't fit or it fits too snugly, and you need to get some of the cases that at least have like a bit of a bendiness quality to them, so you can slide it in there because it's a little too thick, at least on the front. So if it sits up there, it's a little thicker on the top on the plastic part.
So we can now say this could be the tagline: the new iPhone. It's white, it's thicker, and it won't fit.
We're all just kind of like,
come on, I know you want to say that's what she said. I know you want to say that.
Oh, that's what she said.
I'm just torturing you. So Microsoft, sorry, I'm so sorry, Natalie.
That's all right.
You're a mother. I shouldn't treat you like that.
I am someone's mother.
She's someone's
wife.
mother.
I expect respect, and I'm also the princess of ice or whatever.
Ah, yes, you will soon be. We now know what you're getting for Mother's Day. I hope you weren't listening. So don't get all excited, Apple fans, though. Just because Apple made more money doesn't mean it's commanding a bigger percentage. According to Gartner Group, Microsoft has 79% of worldwide OS revenue.
I think that's according to revenue, right? Not actual install.
Yeah, Apple's actually after Red Hat on that one.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess because they don't sell. I mean, everybody who gets a Mac has an operating system. They don't sell the operating system.
Right.
Apple's market share, global market share, is 1.7%, up from 1.6%.
According to revenue.
According to revenue.
What do you think about all this cash? Every few months you hear these pieces come out.
God, I just love to have what is it, $32 billion?
66 now, I think.
66 they're up to.
Yeah.
But they sit on this cash, right? And every few months you have some market analysts who say, why isn't Apple buying up companies? Why? Why?
Well, they bought Lala, right? That was the last thing they bought.
Yeah, but that was cheap.
Well, the bottom line is it gives them the option that if they need to buy something to solve some issue. I mean, someone talked about Comcast making more money. They could buy Netflix, for instance. If they just write a check for Netflix, it wouldn't even show up on the main page of their of their expenditures.
Right.
I think one of the things they like doing, and one of the things I think the operations guy are quite hot on doing, is because they have this massive pile of cash, they can make really, really big advanced orders for all the actual components and hardware that they manufacture in China, and that means they can guarantee cheaper prices. So when something like the Japan earthquake happens, they've already got all their pricing and all their hardware, locked up for the next 6 months. So something like that just doesn't affect them at all. So we saw, I think in Apple's results that the Japan earthquake kind of had no effect on their net margin, and that's because they've got so much cash they're able to guarantee all these orders, 6 or 12 months in advance to make sure they get the pricing that they want. And that's why Apple is able to, really make such great margins on all its products.
Or, as Reverb Mike in our chat room says, maybe Apple's saving up to buy America.
Well, but I think that they could, at some point in time, it does give them room to be very aggressive about certain things. If they need to push a technology, if they need to push something down the path, or they need to purchase something much larger, maybe they have ideas about that. But it also does mean that they can, they can do that without worrying about running out of cash. And because they're a hardware manufacturer, I mean, you see that these expenditures that they're making over the next year, or I think the next quarter, I think was like $11 billion. And so they, if they're going to continue to grow, they have to be able to buy. They have to have a massive amount of cash on hand, much more than a software company like Microsoft, because they're dealing with all these issues.
Right.
And I'm surprised Clayton hasn't said this yet, but you can tell they put a lot more money in research and development when it comes to a new product. They don't skimp, they don't cut corners, and they will go back to the drawing board if it doesn't come out the way they want
except
to.
As a proportion of their revenue, R&D at Apple is much lower than Microsoft's.
2%.
Microsoft spends a really large portion of its income on R&D.
Apple's,
but Microsoft is R&D-ing weird things that they just go in R&D whatever. Like, how can we?
And
we love them for it.
Bed sheets or whatever.
No, and it's funny because
put an operating system in a bed sheet, and Apple only does the things that they know
No, it's
are
a good
really
point.
close
What's
to
the last big R&D thing to come out of Microsoft that we know of?
Well, I would have said Connect, but they didn't invent that. They bought it from his
it was that photo. Wasn't it that photo?
Photosynth and Surface. Let's not forget the fabulous big-ass table.
Generation, yeah.
And I mean, and Photosynth, I have to say, is my favorite app on my iPhone at the moment.
Although there are people who will say that Surface was also, I guess, repurposing of other ideas that weren't originally Microsoft's either.
That's true.
I guess maybe Zune. That worked out pretty well for them.
That's just cold. You must be an Apple fanboy to even say the Z word, or as you people say, the Z word. Actually, did you see the loss, among other things? If you dig through the Microsoft filing, the quarterly results, their biggest loss was over $200 million online. This was the big money losing division was Bing.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess wouldn't they argue that that's the big investment?
Deficit spending.
Right, is it because they spent so much?
Have you seen
I can't imagine it's back-end infrastructure, but so much on getting this thing up and running, and the partnerships that they spent. They spent money hand over fist. Plus, they're doing all kinds of events like South by Southwest. They're running people in buses. Do you remember at CES, they had all like the Bing buses you could take all around Las Vegas? They spend money hand over fist on these large concerts where they're trying to be hip and cool, where people are going to show up to a concert that's put on by Bing, or they were rolling out for remember the Kin. Remember they rolled out the whole Kin.
Oh, the Kin.
And they did that whole big concert series for the Kin. Like they wanted, hip young kids to come and play with their Kin phones at a Microsoft concert series.
2 people showed up.
Right. So they spend like $5 million on little things like that on a regular basis. I can't imagine I imagine that's probably what they did with Bing.
Have you seen the maps?
But they did gain percentage in search. Though.
Yes.
They're gaining percentage over Yahoo,
They're
though. They're not
buying
gaining
percentage.
Google.
They're buying percentage.
Right. So what's up with the maps, Alex? Is there?
Well, they're spending a lot more money on maps, I can tell you that, than Google is. If you go to San Francisco and you compare the Google Maps and the Bing Maps, so Google is going around with a car, and that's cute. They got little cameras and stuff like that.
And
I saw one go by. And I was trying to think of something to do. I saw a Google car, and I wanted to, it was coming by me, and I felt like this is my moment, and I couldn't.
This is my moment to moon it.
I know, yeah, something. It was like something, but I couldn't do anything. But the Bing Maps, they're using.
You froze.
Oh man, the opportunity lost.
They're using lidar, for the and so
that's that thing that spins around.
But if you actually move through the maps, you're realizing that there's like 3D models. It's not just like they're not just planes. They can actually move in a lot more. It's much higher resolution than what Google's doing. And so this is just another area where they're dumping an enormous amount of money into things that they're kind of upping the level of competition, which I think is good.
They call it street side instead of street view.
Oh dear, do they really?
Side.
No.
You're
not joking?
Yeah, check it out.
Oh,
I mean, although people are being, quite down on the Microsoft Online figures, I think there are a couple of interesting things. Number one, it wasn't so long ago that everybody was really down on the hardware end of Microsoft, and that, it was their games division that was losing hundreds of millions a quarter. And now their games division is making them a ton of money. They put that investment in, and they're now reaping it back. And I don't think it's going to be too long, actually, before the games division starts to get into sort of net profit over the sort of 5 or 10 years they've been operating it. I think they're hoping the same will happen for the internet division. If you look at the revenues for the internet division, they're actually up year on year. So it is, although they're losing money, it is growing in the way that they want it to.
You want to take a guess at how much money they've lost online?
In total?
Total.
Oh,
I'll show you the graph.
$1 billion.
Before you say that, let me show you the graph. This is going back to 2005, $3 billion.
Ouch.
And it's not getting better.
But if you look back, I mean, they were making money in the first couple of years, just looking at that graph. There's like 2 years where they were like making money from online. What were they doing?
I showed last year's graph. It's even worse.
Maybe that was Hotmail.
That was last year's graph. It's even worse with Bing. Oh dear. That was from 2010. So it's been this way for a while. Yeah, they've lost a huge amount of money.
But they can afford to, right?
You can afford to, and it's not unheard of to buy market share in search, as long as the market share doesn't shrivel up and blow away when you stop buying those ads. At some point,
looks like our federal budget.
Yeah, at some point you have to make money on this thing.
Yeah, right.
You can't just keep spending and say, well, we're growing our search share. Speaking of saving money, I think this is kind of interesting. Amazon is getting into a price war with iTunes over the cost of a song. iTunes brand new songs cost as much as $1.29. Used to be that you could buy the same song for 89 cents on Amazon.com. Now 69 cents.
And this is why we love competition.
Consumers win, right?
Yeah.
69 cents. Now I can go pick up that new Rebecca Black song for a lot less than I can get it on iTunes.
Wow. I'm not going to start singing or anything, but wow.
Friday.
Hey! Knock it off.
I think this is great, but it does. Where for iTunes, Apple has always had this be they don't make much money off of the music licensing from iTunes.
No, in fact, I think the price jump was not Apple; it was the record industry that wanted to go up, which is interesting. I think what they're maybe so afraid of the power iTunes is wielding now that they're going to Amazon. You can charge less.
Well, is this now a loss leader for Amazon?
Does Amazon? Amazon sets the price on apps. They set the price on books, don't they? I think they maybe not, but they do set the price on apps. I wonder if they're setting the price on
No,
music.
they don't. Remember, they got taken to court by the publishers because the publishers wanted to control the price.
Right.
And Amazon had to capitulate, and so now the publishers have more control.
Right.
So you would think that the same would apply to music.
I don't know,
but you might also think that this is something that's incenting users to build up their Amazon library so that they're using Amazon Cloud Drive.
Right. Well, that's the other side of it. So I buy one song for 69 cents, and now I get 20 gigs on Cloud Drive for a year.
Yeah, if Cloud Drive is up and working.
Was it down to?
I think you have to buy an album, not a song.
Oh, all right. But they have lots of 99-cent albums, by the way.
Oh, well, then there you go.
They have, you know what? They've got lots of cheap, $5 albums. They're selling 15.
Clayton's Polka album is really cheap on there. If you
wait a minute, are you a polka
album?
Are you a polkaist?
Wow.
I have a no, I don't have a polka album. I was trying to take that and run with it, and I couldn't. I didn't want to start a meme that I actually have an accordion.
Clayton's accordion. Wait a minute. I'm going to look this up because I think Natali would not lie about something like that. I think you do have a polka album, and you're covering it up.
That was the real clincher. I fell in love when he serenaded me over.
She was at an Oktoberfest celebration. I was wearing some sort of kilt.
It was Clayton's Pa.
It's the lederhosen and the accordion. I'm a sucker for it.
Now I searched for Clayton Morris on Amazon, but it says, do you mean Clapton Morris?
Right.
And then it
No,
says,
no polka album.
No polka.
But yeah, I mean, you have to think that this is some sort of a loss leader for them. And yeah, exactly, to drive more people to using the cloud storage option. And, you know, I just don't know. I was having this debate the other day with someone about whether or not it's valuable to have this storage locker in the cloud. Are we, you know, Steve Jobs has argued that we all want to own physical media, but does this give us some sense of ownership when we put our ones and zeros in some sort of a sky cloud locker somewhere? We don't own it anyway. We don't have access to this physical ones and zeros anyway. It's not like we're sitting here with a CD in our hands.
We had a great interview with Michael Robertson on Triangulation on Wednesday. He's the guy who did MP3.com and was chased out of the business by Universal, who sued him, and then when they got the stock price of MP3.com low enough, they bought it. So I mean, just a classic, just shark story. But that was the first music locker. The whole idea of MP3.com was if you have a CD, you put it in your CD player, your computer would generate a hash and then say, okay, now you can listen to that without ripping it, without uploading it. Now you can listen to that music on MP3.com because you've shown us that you own it. And even though there was no merit to the lawsuit, they couldn't afford to defend it. This is what Michael says. It's a great interview. You should listen to it on Triangulation. But then Universal even admitted to him afterwards, Edgar Bronfman, celebrating in the closing dinner after they bought MP3.com. Even then he said, nah, it's just business, man. It's just business. We sued you, so you'd have to sell to us at a lower price. The record industry has such a horrid track record. It's just amazing. And, of course, there is a Cablevision decision. Remember, Cablevision made a online DVR in which you would record shows and store it on their cloud for your DVR instead of a hard drive in that thing, and was sued by the movie industry and won. The movie industry lost in that one, and that's kind of a definitive case. But do notice that Amazon and anybody else, you have to, even though they may not even be keeping a copy of the song, who knows how they're actually doing it, but you have to upload your music before you can store it in the cloud.
I think one of the big challenges for the record industry and the media industry in general is what they're desperately trying to do is keep everybody even. Or try to even this out.
That's what I meant when I say they're afraid of the power of Apple's iTunes, so they're throwing a bone to Amazon.
Well, and they're trying to do the same thing with Netflix, and they're trying to do the same thing with Google.
Playing everybody against each other.
What they don't want is anybody to get control, because all of these companies are much more savvy than they are. So with Google, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, these guys are moving much faster. If any of them get far enough ahead, they know that they'll start dictating terms, which, interesting enough, would most likely be good for the industry because they actually know what they're doing.
Right.
But the industry I think that they don't know which way is up at this point. I think that they can't figure out why people aren't buying any more DVDs. They can't figure out why people don't want to buy any more music. And
what's wrong with you as people?
Yeah, and they're trying to figure out how to stem the bleeding.
Let's take a break. We're going to come back with more some big transactions. Delicious gets sold to Hurley and Chan from hundreds of dollars. Logitech makes almost thousands of dollars on its Google TV and more, all coming up. We're talking big numbers here. Before we go on, though, I want to talk about Audible.com. Show of hands. Any of you guys listen to audiobooks by any chance?
All the time.
Absolutely.
All the time. Natalie? Oh, you do too. Okay. You're just being, she was just fixing her hair. She doesn't really
No,
listen.
I was nodding, yes.
We're all big fans.
Yes,
and I presume
I'm here, Leo.
If you listen to audiobooks, that you're listening to Audible.com, right? I mean, is there a choice?
No.
Not a good
There's
one.
There's not a choice. It's a monopoly of audio.
They've got a monopoly. Actually, the library does it and so forth. But as far as I'm concerned, there's no choice simply because there's nothing better.
Right.
Audible.com has all the greatest books, 70,000 plus titles. You can play them on pretty much any device, including, of course, all the iOS devices, but also all the Android devices. In fact, I really love, and I use it all the time, the Audible application on Android. It's got a great widget so I can see what's playing. I can see the album art. I don't have to download books ahead of time. I see my entire Audible library on my Android or iPhone, and then pick a book that I want to listen to at the moment. And one of the things I love about Audible is that your library is always available to you. Unlike iTunes, you can re-download those books anytime you want. So it is like a library that works on the Kindle. In fact, I just got that new Kindle, the ad-supported Kindle. It's interesting. Amazon is now putting all your Audible books on there, as well as the books that read the textbooks that you're reading.
Oh, that's great.
Isn't that good? Because they've got 3 gigs on there. That's enough for quite a few audiobooks in addition to the regular ebooks that you're reading. I look
at books now. If they have too many words, I'm like, this is way too many words for me to actually read. I was like, this is a book I'm going to. I will listen to this book.
It's interesting. It's interesting with the Kindle too, because you can do the text to speech on some of the books if the company allows it. So you're sitting there with your Audible books, like on a flight, for instance, and you've got one that's a text version of the book, and you can flip it to the text to speech, and you can also then jump over and listen to your Audible books on there with a voice actor who does it better than that robotic.
Well, I have to say, I mean, if you're for instance listening to Rob Lowe's unabridged memoir, Stories I Only Tell My Friends, do you want to hear somebody that sounds like this read it? Or do you want to hear Rob Lowe himself read it? Let's listen to a little Rob Lowe. I'm just curious what the stories are that he only tells to his friends. This is one of 70,000 titles. If you go to audible.com/twit2, you can pick the first 2 of them free. Come on, Rob. I want to hear you, man.
Currents of fame, dating, career ups and downs. Curious to see how his life would play out.
I love Rob Lowe.
Sometimes
is
he
it just
and I
me?
would both appear on those.
I didn't know anything. I've never actually seen him talk. And my wife, it wasn't me. I'm just trying
Your
to claim.
wife.
My wife was watching Rob Lowe on Oprah, I guess, like yesterday or the day before. She had recorded it and she was playing it. I found myself, I got hooked into an Oprah show. He's like so level-headed and so. He's got, all this stuff. And I was just like, wow.
He was so good in The West Wing. What is he doing lately? Does he have a new show? He must be if he's on Oprah.
He was in that Sally Field show, right, where he was like a politician or something. I only know because my mom
Brothers
would
and
watch it.
Sisters.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad I missed that. I'm not a Sally Field fan. She was great in
How
The
can you
Flying
not be a
Nun.
Sally Field fan?
You love Sally Field, really?
Yeah.
You like
reminds me
her?
of my
You really
mom.
like her?
She really loves her. She really, really does. Hey, can I say something real quick about the app, the Audible app?
Yeah.
Because I really started using it a lot since Christmas. I was just always downloading the books and putting them on my iPhone. But now, because you sign up for the plan, the monthly gold package or whatever I have, you get free access to both either the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal. You get a free
I forgot to
download
mention
of
that. That's right.
Paper, and I love it because also in the application, and nowhere else can you have access to do this. You can do it like in triple speed. So, I have to read copious amounts of news, right? So I try to read all kinds of stuff. And then if I'm doing something with the baby or something, I'll put on the New York Times audio download from that morning, which publishes every morning at 6:30.
I have to start doing this. That's brilliant.
And it's free. I mean, if you got the plan, it's free. You can sign up for either one, and you can switch at any time. If you want to jump over to Wall Street Journal.
At the triple speed, how long does it take you to read the New York to listen to the New York?
Because it's usually an hour. So if you do it at half speed, it's about a half hour. About 15 minutes I can get through the New York Times.
That's I can't do
3x.
That is so amazing. I haven't tried.
And the guy does it in a way that's agreeable. He talks like this normally. Welcome to the New York Times audio edition. Today,
welcome to the New York Times audio edition.
Yeah, then he gets up to 3 speed, and then you're fine.
Yeah, he talks normally.
Right.
Audible.com. Here's my I'll let, if you guys want to make a recommendation, you can. But I just noticed that Childhood's End, the classic Arthur C. Clarke science fiction, with the greatest twist ending of all time, is available on Audible.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I was trying to mute the microphone and it fell.
You just don't like Arthur C. Clarke. Go ahead. You could pick a book.
I'm sorry.
You want to pick Tina Fey's Bossy Pants? You go right ahead.
No, she is reading. What are you reading about schools right now? It's a really
yes. I'm reading the Diane Ravitch book, The Life and Death of the American School System. It's getting me all worked up.
You are such a intellectual, Natalie. I'm always blown away by the depth of your knowledge.
Oh.
She's very close to getting her PhD. So yeah, she is a nerd. She is a nerd of the highest order.
So I did a search for Diane Ravitch. Those books aren't in there, but look at this: her interview on C-SPAN's Book Notes. Her interview on the Bob Edwards Show, her interview on Fresh Air. These are all on Audible. See, they have radio shows as well. I mean, it's incredible. You probably would want to listen to this interview with her from the Fresh Air program. I'll tell you, Audible.com, it's amazing. 2 books free. Your first month is free. And on the Platinum plan, you get 2 books a month. That's what I use. Audible.com/twit2. And yes, when you sign up for that plan, you also get the New York Times or Wall Street Journal, and you can listen to that every single day. And I'm going to do your tip, Clayton. I think that's a great idea.
I love it. And you can switch at any time, as far as I understand. So Wall Street Journal 1 month, you want to switch over and get New York Times. And they do the column every day, and they pick some really great content to put up there. So
very good. I'm going to definitely do that. They have a lot of magazines and periodicals and stuff, too. So Logitech's fourth quarter results came out, and we found out one thing I thought was kind of interesting. They make the Google TV. They're really the only one that makes there's a Google TV part of a Blu-ray player, but this is the only standalone Google TV. Big profits, $5 million. $5 million. This is such a piece of crap. I'm sorry. This is such a horrible product. Google, I'm sure, intended to sell a lot more of these. Logitech, I'm sure, the Logitech CEO says he's still enthusiastic about Google TV, but notice they have also scaled back their marketing. And I think this is just a matter of time. Boy, Google's just
I think the Logitech review just blows away the Apple TV.
Really? Do you use it?
No.
Actually, it blows it away in terms of capabilities, but it's so complicated, convoluted, and I don't use I have the new Apple TV.
Yeah.
It just doesn't do enough. It's just it's iTunes and Hulu. No, what else is Netflix? iTunes and Netflix. And that's it.
And MLB for me, I watch all my Phillies games.
MLB? Okay.
MLB is great, and the interface. I know, Alex, you've talked about this on MacBreak before. The interface, the Netflix interface, the buffering is better on the Apple TV as opposed to Roku. Just has it's cleaner, it's nicer.
Really, I'll have to try it for that reason. Okay.
And I can control it with my iPhone.
Well, I could do that with my Roku, too.
You can do that with the Roku? I haven't.
Yeah, there's a Roku app.
Is there a Roku app? Okay, well, I missed that.
At least on Android, I have that.
Because
But you're right. The Logitech review, just incredibly ridiculous. I was at the launch event, and then to set the thing up, you had to have multiple accounts. You had to make sure you had this set up, and it wasn't accessing any of the content. And if you wanted to jump over to Hulu, you couldn't get access to Hulu.
Very frustrating.
So very nerdy device.
I'm disappointed. I was hoping it would be better. I really was. Because again, competition.
Well,
very expensive. $299. Yeah.
I would like to see something. I mean, I think that there's a lot of places that that Apple TV could improve. I'd love to see it, like for instance, be able to connect a webcam, to be and I'd love to see them open up the iOS. I wish that they would get pushed a little bit to open that up. But I have to admit that I don't. Once I put the Apple TV into one, I went to the next, and installed it, and it's easy for me to use. It's easy for Carlita to use.
One big complaint I have about the Apple TV, for instance, the new AMC show, The Killing, as an example, came out. I forgot to DVR it, so I was going to grab a few episodes. Natali refuses to watch it because it's about killing.
Aptly named, apparently.
Yeah, so I wanted to rent it and throw it up on AirPlay and just put it up on my Apple TV, or just go through my Apple TV and rent it and watch it. You can't. There's no sign of it anywhere when you go into iTunes on the Apple TV, or when you go through the interface on Apple TV. But then when I jump into the App Store or jump into iTunes on my iPad, it's right there. I can rent every episode. I can buy the whole season, get a full season pass, and watch it that way. Makes absolutely no sense, this content fracturing on these devices. And I get really frustrated. So we're going to fly out to San Francisco tomorrow. I'm going to load up a few episodes of it. I'll have to rent them. I can buy them. But then if I want to go through the Apple TV to watch them, I can't, unless I use AirPlay to throw it up there. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I'm sure that it has to do with the licensing that they're kind of stuck within, but I do think that it's all of this media stuff is just going to continue to get more and more sticky. I think that's the issue, is because everyone's trying to protect it all.
People are sensitive. Big story on Wired.com. The age of broadband caps begins tomorrow. AT&T's. I'm sorry, Will, we're leaving you out here. If there's anything you have to say, I know.
No.
I know you don't get Apple TV, you don't get Google TV, and now you don't get broadband.
You do get Apple TV.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I have one.
Oh, never mind.
It doesn't work very well, but we still have it.
You can't put anything on it. And meanwhile, Natalie's just fallen over. So.
No, but the broadband caps we're very au fait with here. So.
What are your broadband caps?
They're not that bad.
I think any cap is bad by its very nature.
Yes, but we do. We have pretty decent ones on cellular data. So my iPhone has like a 3 GB cap.
Wow, that's awfully low. I went through 3 gigs on my iPad very quickly.
Yeah.
Really, what were you
that's
doing? I'm
something.
curious because I have to recommend and now, of course, because I grandfathered in, have the unlimited data plan on my iPad from the first generation, and friends and segments that I do. Well, what do you recommend? Should I get the
You're going to need
lower
5
bandwidth
gigs.
cap?
You get 5 gigs, unless somebody. It really depends on usage. If you use Wi-Fi all the time, I was just downloading porn on the airplane, and I think that's really what.
Yeah, well,
that's your problem.
That's
You're sharing it with the
firewalled.
entire aisle.
Not that I know.
Yeah, that's.
You can't do that on planes.
No.
Silly.
Silly me.
And I have complained about the Comcast cap, although I realized that in talking to Comcast, because I'm upgrading the one at my house, I never actually hit it. I thought that I would definitely hit the Comcast cap because of my usage.
250 gigs.
250 gigs, and I have come close. I looked at I started talking to him, had him look through it and everything else, and I've hit 235. And never
If
actually.
if there's anyone that would, it would be you. And Pirate Bay.
Yeah, but that's what these guys say.
But I'm
They say
uploading.
99% of our users never come near them. The AT&T cap is lower. It's 150 gigs if you're a DSL subscriber, 250 if you're a Uverse subscriber. I guess the point, and by the way,
You couldn't download 250 gigs on Uverse. I don't mean to be so rough about it, but man,
well, that's
that
the
service
problem.
is so bad.
Yeah, that's the solution: is make your service so crappy nobody's ever going to hit the cap. But I just think that this is both AT&T and Comcast's. It has nothing to do with, oh, you guys are using too much data, or let's punish bandwidth hogs. It has everything to do with getting in place. It's the camel's nose in the tent. It's getting in place so that as more and more people start using Netflix and iTunes and everything else, they can slowly clamp down on it, because they really just want you to do email and. Somebody's getting a call on their iPhone. Maybe it's me. Could be me.
Mine's in there.
Okay, everybody looked. That's
Yeah,
the new
everyone
ringtone,
grabbed it.
by the way.
Yeah.
It's not, it's.
I want to record that and make that my ringtone. That would be
Yeah, GSM sound.
Then everyone would just be looking around.
Yeah, right. What's going on? What's going on?
I think you're dead right, Leo. I think the reason that these people are, the networks are so obsessed with bandwidth caps is because they can see a time when nobody really needs to buy, your cable service. You don't need cable to get movies or TV. You just get it all over iTunes or IP or Netflix or something like that.
Especially as live streaming starts picking up speed.
Well,
That's
it
the
is.
last little.
What did we see? Netflix is like 40% of primetime bandwidth consumption in the U.S. I mean, it is. We're all sitting there watching Netflix.
Well, there's Netflix, but when you start looking at the stuff like the president doing open, on
Facebook,
on Facebook, and then you look at the royal wedding, and you start seeing all of the streaming happening. Once news and sports become regular live streaming events, there's no reason to have a TV.
And obviously, both you and I have a vested interest in this, Will, because we're internet broadcasters. Caps hurt you.
It's a problem.
Yeah, channel flip. I mean, you're aspiring to be a television network over the internet, right?
Yeah, and so I think over here we're already starting to see it, albeit with phone companies rather than cable companies, where people are starting to question. We have to pay all this money to have effectively over here. If you have to have a phone line to have internet, and now people are saying, well, I don't really need a phone line because I have a cell phone, so why can't I just have internet?
Right.
And all the phone companies are saying, well, we don't want you to really just have the internet because then we won't really make any money.
Right.
So that's the same thing is happening over here.
It's bare deals.
You have to get a phone line no matter what in your package.
Well, they don't have cable companies, right?
Because we don't really have cable.
So all of the
DSL.
services through the phone. So you really in a worse competitive situation, at least in the States, you usually have a choice between cable and the phone company.
Yeah, so generally over here you can't, everywhere obviously has phone, so you can have DSL, and you can choose between your DSL providers, but you still have to have you still have to pay for a phone, because you have to have the phone service to have the DSL service. And so people are saying, well, why is that? Why is that really? It's the same. Why can't I just have internet and not have phone? If you're in a place in England where you can get cable, most people who can do, because it's faster and the packages are generally better.
You know what? Something sticks out to me in all this. I'm reading the new In the Plex, the Steve
isn't that a
Levy
great
book.
Yeah,
Oh, it's fantastic.
Well,
It's a terrible name.
Yeah, Stephen was on to This Week in Google on Wednesday, and he was saying, "Oh yeah, we went back and forth about the name, and we decided on this one." And I wanted to say, "Boy, you made it up. What the hell were you thinking?"
Boy, bad choice.
Yeah, I didn't say that. I should have,
But Larry Page, you get from the book, you know, and you really get this big thinking person in Larry Page, and you know, I want to build this monorail system, and I feel like this issue that we're just talking about is an area where Google wants to just swoop in and say, you know what, incredible high-speed internet access for every community in America. We're just going to cover it. We have the money in the bank. We're going to build it. We're going to cover it. They're already doing it in certain communities, and you know that it benefits them to have more people more quickly on the internet. There's still, I don't know, is it 22% of the country that still doesn't have broadband access? This seems to me like a Google problem.
Well,
something that you
wouldn't the top 20 markets be the place that you could put a lot of pressure on them? You could put a lot of pressure on the top 20, top 100 markets, where you could put a lot of pressure because that's where everyone's making their money. You know, and there's typically a lot of bad service. The service that we get in San Francisco, or where we used to get in San Francisco until I moved, is just horrible. And now some of that I think some of that requires some legal battles. But if you started really saying this is what it's going to look like in these big markets, it would force a lot of these companies to backtrack. I think because everyone would jump on. I would jump on. Like if Google came in here and said gigabit Ethernet,
I'd do it.
Gigabit connection for $200 a month or $150 a month, no caps. The
problem is that then they would be a monopoly, so because nobody would compete with that. And that's the problem is that all this infrastructure is so expensive, so they have to put fiber in to make that work, and that's very expensive per subscriber. Here's my suggestion, and I don't. This isn't my idea. This is an idea that Bob Frankston came up with. We had Tim Posar on Triangulation last week. The cities should treat the wiring for internet broadband as infrastructure, just as they do water and sewer.
Yep.
Put that in and then say, compete. We will do the infrastructure. Now let's have 100 ISPs trying to provide the best service.
Do you know who's doing that?
Who?
So I hate to bring this up because I always bring it up. Rwanda. So Rwanda owns all the fiber going through. They are running fiber to every city. All the fiber coming in and all the fiber going around. They have tons of extra dark fiber that's there. They do everything up to the last mile. And then they say, okay, now all of the cell providers and all the internet providers get to plug into this fiber backbone, and it's done. It was done correctly. It's done by one, but the government also says this is the amount you're allowed to charge over what we're charging you for your service. Now you can add other services to that.
I
but
don't
for
think they
basic
should
internet,
do that. I think they should just say, hey, you charge whatever you want. If there's competition, the price will find its natural resting point. The reason you do this, though, is it really is infrastructure, and you don't want the government in the internet service business because then they control, the channels here. But it's infrastructure, and I don't think you want the federal government doing it either. I think you want a lot of small municipal governments doing it. But that's just a thought. Anyway.
Well, the problem is that in these ISPs saw this happening, and so some cities started getting into this business, and the ISPs immediately came in and got laws passed. So, like in Pennsylvania, the government's not allowed to even to lay the fiber.
Yeah, and you can thank Comcast and Verizon for that because they just didn't want the competition.
Right.
Delicious sold from Yahoo to Chad Hurley and Steve Chen. I think they did this. It was a couple of million. I think it was a charitable donation to the internet. I think they said, Delicious should be kept around. Well, it costs us nothing. We'll just throw a couple of little money. We got some money we got a few billion from Google.
Did they actually? I had this sense when I saw that. Did they release the terms?
No, they didn't. But I do remember Yahoo saying, "Hey, we'll sell it for $2 million."
Oh, I had the
Anybody?
impression it was less than that.
You think it was like 100,000?
I think it was.
Yeah.
We will take over the cost of running it.
That might be.
I think that was.
We'll take it off your hands. Just give us the pink slip. We'll pay the insurance.
Yep.
Once when they made all that noise about going out of business, I changed over to a Delicious API compatible site called Pinboard. What do you use, Clayton?
I find that I'm using Instapaper more and more.
Well, I love that.
But I don't use it. I think I'm using it obviously to read content,
right?
But I'm also saving stories there that I just want to remember, and I'm
okay,
now.
So here's I'll give a plug for Pinboard and why I like Pinboard. It's not free, by the way. You have to buy it, but that's one of the reasons I like it because they have a financial model that makes sense, right? And we use it to bookmark all our stories. So Pinboard follows the Delicious API, but it adds some features. Yahoo never added anything to Delicious. They just let it lie fallow. But for instance, it will follow a Twitter account. So I have a special Twitter account, links_for_twit. And anytime I tweet a story there, it automatically goes into the bookmarks there. I can add a hashtag if I want. So then when Eileen, our producer, sits down and says, what are we going to talk about? All the stories we talked about have been tagged by me and others into our Pinboard account, and then she can go through it, which makes it really easy. It does do what you want to do, Clayton, which is for, I think, $25 a year, you could say, I want you to capture this entire page, save it, cache it, have it locally for me. So it has that feature. So you don't have to read these pages. You save them forever, though.
But it's still scattered all over the internet for me. I mean, if I'm going to go into a meeting and pitch stories for the show on the weekend on Fox and Friends, and I've got, I'm in this app, and I can only email it to myself. I can't save it out to Delicious somewhere because it's a native app on the iPad or something.
That's exactly what I use it for. You have a special Pinboard email, so you can email it to your Pinboard account. You also have the tweets, and almost all the things like Flipboard and everything will support you tweeting something.
And listen to
I
this
use
high praise.
Evernote for this kind of thing.
Evernote's great too. I love it.
But they don't really do social all that well.
Right.
Because there are a lot of times I might see something and make a note and want to share it just with Clayton. And you'd have to either send the whole thing, or you can't really start to collaborate.
Didn't they just have an update though? Didn't they, this week they just added social? I was listening to the Evernote podcast, by the way, this week actually, and I think they just added a big social component to Evernote. I have to check that.
I will. I downloaded it, but I don't know what's new.
Well, and I love Evernote, and I love Phil Libin, and I've interviewed him. I've had him on my show.
Really great.
I think they do great stuff. And the iPad app is fantastic, but Evernote updates every day.
It does. They always have an app
Don't you want that? What's wrong with that?
Every time I log into Evernote, I have an update.
That means it's getting better.
The desktop version is what kills me. It's always trying to update.
So look at
this. You know that those guys are working feverishly. Yeah.
So this is the Twitter links for Twitter account. So I follow a lot of news organizations. So one way that I can send something right now to Pinboard is just by retweeting this. And as soon as I retweet this, let's say I want to retweet this Nick Bill. Oh, I'm not logged in, so I can't. But if I were logged in, I could retweet it, and then it would go right into Pinboard. And I can add hashtags. I just think it's and since
so you don't have to search through Twitter to find stuff you've shared before. You don't have to search through Instapaper to say it's all right there.
It's all right here. And then see, Pinboard just adds it as something it saw on Twitter, on the Twitter account. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, it says from Twitter. See, so that means it was from the Twitter account, and I used hashtags 299. That's episode 299 Windows Weekly, and so that way it pulls it right in. And it's just a retweet, but I have the article now.
I like that.
I think this is really great.
And listen to this high praise from Leo Laporte this week in tech on the front page of Pinboard.
I do not own stock. I do not get any money there. Not an advertiser.
No, I love it. No, it's a great quote though. What Delicious could have been if Yahoo hadn't neglected it.
Well, one of the founders is a former Deliciouser.
Yeah.
So if that's a word. Yahoo did totally neglect it. It's very.
I'm going to check this out. That's great.
It's just my little plug for them. Facebook, some stories. They launched social deals to challenge Groupon. If you log on to your Facebook account in certain cities, including the Bay Area.
You guys use Groupon?
No, I bet Natali does.
Mostly it just annoys me with emails every day because it's never. I don't need a bikini wax. It's always weird things that I don't know exactly.
Do you want to respond to that at all? Or?
I was going to say I second that. I was going to say wait a second.
It has the weirdest things. I don't.
No, I agree with you. It's always kind of stuff you don't want, and it's not that much off. Oh. Facebook deals are actually. Oh, are you a Groupon user?
Yeah, I find. I mean, maybe it's because
you're in
has some
England.
Decent stuff.
Yeah,
but yeah, we get quite good stuff. There was a deal that I got the other day, which was like a weekend rental of an Audi R8.
For how much?
It's like £550.
That's a lot of money, but I guess that's a better deal.
But it's like really cheap to rent an Audi R8.
I'd love to rent an Audi R8. Actually.
But it sort of forces you into things you wouldn't do. You're like, I'm going to get an Audi this weekend.
That's the point.
Drive up to the vineyards. I wouldn't normally do that, but because
Yeah, but
Groupon's,
you kind of sign up so that you can get lunch deals, like you get half off your burrito, and maybe you wouldn't have otherwise got a burrito. But these are like microdermabrasion. I know mine are gender specific, but
And I have to say,
did you need an Audi that weekend?
Yeah.
See, my problem is maybe where I live. I think it might be very specific. So look what I get in Petaluma: $10 for $20 worth of fine American fare and drinks, and a $10 match play credit at the 101 Casino. So basically, I'm getting a burger for $10 off. It doesn't appeal to me.
That's pretty poor. That is pretty
kind of
poor.
sucky.
15. Yeah, because I mean, aren't burgers usually $4?
Yeah.
So if $10 off the burger, they should be sending you $4 in the mail.
Look, would you like $30 worth of spices, teas, and oil? Well, you can get it for just $15.
Well, I don't understand why is there not a. I don't quite understand why it's all local. I mean, I understand Groupon is local.
Oh, that's the whole deal.
But I understand that Groupon's all local, but I don't understand why someone hasn't created one of these that sends us much more national,
around the
like from because I'm not that interested in them.
Do you not have national ones? Because we have national Groupons, so you can get like a whole UK-wide one.
That's because England's such a little island.
Yeah, we might as well be statewide.
Yeah.
Everything's local there.
Facebook has also launched a send button. This is going to take over the internet, just like the like button, where you can use the send button to send an article to somebody on Facebook. And I'm sure every website now is using it. And
now, are you going to add that stuff? I know you were talking about that a few weeks ago.
I first said no. I said never. I don't want to support these guys. But you know what? It's a huge price you pay by not doing it.
Yeah, to not have the like button on the TWiT website.
You better believe we'll have it. You better believe we'll have it. Of course we will. We're redesigning the site right now. That's the first thing we'll do. I hate to say it, but you're missing so much traffic if you don't.
Yeah.
It's just foolish. There's a new attack that you can make. It's probably fixed by now. Just send an email to Facebook, and they will just lock any enemy's account out right away.
What do you have to say?
I'm trying to figure it out. This Ken Fisher's writing in Ars Technica. Actually, that's the wrong page. Facebook is so eager to protect copyright that the mere accusation of copyright infringement is enough to get an account locked. Ars Technica, which is a really great site for tech news, found this out the hard way Thursday morning when our own Facebook page became inaccessible. No warning, no explanation, no clear appeal process. And all it said was, we have removed or disabled access to the following content that you have posted on Facebook because we received a notice from a third party that it infringes. They don't say what infringes, and there is a link that you could find out for more information. So,
and is there so there's no real is there any real review process, or we don't know yet? So you can basically just if you had some enemies out there who wanted to send some sort of an email message to take down your business website, you're screwed.
Right.
At some point in time, it seems like the copyright law has to become so absurd that we just either people just stop paying attention to it, or they actually do a whole overhaul. But it is I mean, it seems like half of the show we're talking about all this weird stuff that people are, the licensing, the reason that your Apple TV has some stuff that your iPad doesn't, and the reason that it's all of these, all of this licensing and all these digital rights are so. We have a system that wasn't built for the level that it's being used at.
I gotta say, I agree with you, and with regards to Facebook, if you're using Facebook to promote yourself on the web, you're living in the Facebook environment, and
right.
That's the first mistake, number one. So I'll put a send button on there, but it shouldn't be the only thing that you do. And I agree. I mean, I'd look at YouTube. You have to go to copyright school. I mean, we're in it. For instance, putting that South Park clip in the show. We'll almost certainly get this show taken off of YouTube for a copyright violation, and then we have to respond. And and then you get 3 strikes. You have to go to the YouTube copyright school. The pendulum is swung all the way over.
At least you don't have to show up anywhere.
Yeah, and the test is very easy. I already passed it. I didn't even watch the video. It had a pirate kitty cat on it, though. That was good. Hey, we're out of time, but I really want to thank you guys for joining us. And Natalie, seriously, if that other job doesn't pan out.
Or show up.
please come on over here. We'd love to have you as part of our group. I just can't pay you or give you a job or anything like that, but just come on over anyway.
Fair enough.
Perfect.
Actually, I have a fantasy. You want to know my fantasy? No, seriously, I have a fantasy. I want you and Clayton to host a morning show on TWiT, maybe with Baratunde and some people back here, and just you could bicker the whole time. It'd be great. I just love that.
It'll be us like we do every Sunday night, where I accuse Clayton of blatant Apple fanboyism and him accusing me of blatant Google fanboy.
It's a natural. Come on, you guys.
And then there's love.
And then there's love. It's love and
then
bickering.
one of us has to go out and buy flowers.
It's really a natural format. Every television station in America has at one point or another tried that.
Yeah,
Anyway.
she'll be the Whoopi to my joy.
Yes. Whoopee! Joy!
Can I be Hoda and he'll be Kathy Lee?
Natalie is at nataliemorris.com, NATALIMORRIS.com. And, of course, she's part of the Grizzly Network. So what's the name of the new mommy show?
It's Mommy Beta.
I love that.
That's my website. That's our website where we blog as well. We give away a ton of mommy products there, too. You don't have to be a mommy. You could be a daddy. So mommybeta.com. And then Clayton and my show is called The Trending Show.
That's great. Mommybeta.com. Beta testing parenthood. Clayton Morris is at Fox and Friends. He actually has a job, but he's still doing some stuff on the side, too, including a bunch of podcasts.
Yeah, and if you love paranormal news, by the way, and I know we got a lot of people out there who love who doesn't love paranormal news. You got to check out the show I do with my buddy Jim. We just have a lot of fun doing it. It's called The Paranormal Report, and you can download that on iTunes. And it's like unsolved mysteries, but like in a half-hour format. We'd run down all the UFO news and chupacabra craziness every week. So we have a blast doing that show also.
Would you say that there's more paranormal stuff going on now than ever before?
Absolutely, you know, because I think the ubiquitous nature of like iPhones and flip cams, and we saw something incredible out of India about 2 weeks ago on our show, and it was captured from multiple locations in one southern area of India, which, you know, think about 10 years ago, you wouldn't have had that kind of coverage. And so multiple people caught this thing on camera with their cell phones and stuff, and we put it up on, you know, and it was great. I mean, you know, so I think there's been more news because there's been more awareness about these things.
So Jim's like the Art Bell of the internet.
Yeah, he absolutely is. I think he's a big fan of this show as well. So he has a lot of great podcasts over there, a lot of paranormal stuff. So he and I love this stuff. So
fun. That's great.
Yeah. So thanks for having me.
Clayton also has his own site, ClaytonMorris.com. Will, it's always a pleasure to see you. ChannelFlip.com. And things are just hot as can be at Channel Flip.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So we just launched. Do you guys get a show called Top Gear?
Yeah, I love Top Gear.
Okay, so we've just launched a new show that's about technology with a guy called Richard Hammond, who's like one of the three people presenting Top Gear. And it's called Richard Hammond's Tech Head. And it's got, you guys are talking about, you know, we're talking about Facebook and the power of Facebook. We've got over 50,000 or 45,000, I think, Facebook fans.
Yeah, so that's the key, isn't it?
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
So it's, it's a good show, I think.
I love what you're doing here. I just wish you so much success. It's channelflip.com.
And can I also get a plug-in for my Twitter, because I'm almost over 20,000 people now, and I have a bet with my cousin over which one of us will get to 20,000 first, and I really want to beat her.
And what is the bet on? What is the prize?
I think I probably have to take her to dinner, or vice versa.
All right,
depending on who loses.
Well, follow Will. He's so close. He's just 1,000. Actually, fewer than 1,000.
Less than 1,000 people. I need just to take me over 20K.
You could do it right now if everybody watching just went to twitter.com and followed WILHARRIS.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you for being here. Well, thank you, Alex Lindsay, for joining us. Alex is the head honcho at the Pixel Corps and will be the first person to use the new TWiT studio, the Brick House.
Yes,
because you're about ready to go.
We're getting there. We just upgraded the electrical. We finished the green screen. Well, we have to finish painting the green screen psych.
That's exciting.
But all the gear is getting moved in next week.
Wow.
And but I don't think we're really going to be fully operational until you are.
We're roughly the same time.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be way ahead.
We're doing this fundraiser. We haven't started it yet, but we are. Everybody asks me, so I just wanted to say we're going to have a brick fundraiser. So you sell these little bricks, and you can put anything you want on them. we haven't decided on a price yet. Just watch. It'll probably launch this week sometime. We'll certainly talk about it next week. And the idea is to raise some money. You know, we're not a charity. I'm not implying that in any way you get any benefit. There's no tax benefit. You won't feel good about yourself.
You'll feel worse.
You probably feel worse in all likelihood.
You feel a little dirty.
Yeah, but
are those kiln dried bricks?
Why is that a hazard?
I have no idea.
Those bricks, are they?
Is it a hazard?
Kiln dried? Probably they are, but you could put your Twitter handle on there, Will Harris or whatever, and we'll put that in the wall there. It's right when you enter the new TWiT brick house. So,
you got marble ones too?
We haven't decided.
Profanity blocking.
No, the marble ones are just for the
or can you put like balls up there?
Somebody wanted to say, "Screw you, Mike Arrington," on their brick. That would be okay.
I want to get one of those.
Yeah, well, stay tuned. We don't know what we're going to charge yet. It just depends on how much it costs to make the bricks. We're also going to do. We have an eBay auction coming up. We're going to auction off the name of my studio because I have a studio within the bigger studio that's going to be basically like this, and you could call it anything you want. Bikini wax slabs, anything you want, and that'll be it. And every time I start the day, I'll say broadcasting live from Bikini Wax Labs. I'm Leo Laporte. And that's got to be
sort of like David Letterman's home office in Yahoo.
Yeah, that's got to be worth something. So anyway, we're just going to try to raise a little money because it's expensive. It's almost $1 million to build this new studio. So if we can have a little bit, what are you making a face like that?
Yeah,
it's a pricey endeavor.
It's gonna be so awesome.
It's gonna be sweet.
Like it's cool, and I'm just walking through the rubble at the moment. Like while they're putting stuff up, and I'm like, oh,
because you're worth it.
Yeah. Hey, thank you everybody for being here. I had a great time. I hope you did too. And don't forget, we do this show every Sunday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern at live.twit.tv. But we've got a lot of shows all week long. And, of course, if you miss any one of them, we TiVo them for you, audio and video. Just go to TWiT.tv and download a copy or visit it on iTunes and everywhere else. I think we stopped doing East Meets West? Yeah, because Tom and Roger decided they didn't like getting all dressed up on a Sunday evening. So we will not be going to East Meets West. But I think we are going to put something here. Tom wants to do a gaming show. Oh, I got to tell you all about this. You'll all be interested in this. We're thinking once the new studio opens, we're going to design the new studio so that one of the things we can do is have a LAN party in there. But you can play on the internet or in person, and we'll have great guests up there. And every Friday evening after the gaming show, LAN party. So that's going to be a lot.
Oh, that's great.
I know you guys will want to do that. When you guys come out, you can visit and play in the LAN.
Yeah, an excuse not to shower for 3 straight days.
Awesome.
It's where it depends.
When I come in Saturday morning to do the radio show, if there's still people playing, I'll know we've done our job.
Right.
Thanks, everybody, for being here. So great to see you, Natali and Clayton. And, Natali, we just wish you all the best. I think your move is very exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's going to be really.
Yeah, we're really excited.
Unemployment's,
There's nothing like it. No, do not be afraid.
I'm actually not.
No,
I'm not.
I could tell.
I think that, the unknown is always an exciting thing. So.
And I honor the fact that you probably want to spend a little more time with that adorable little bundle of joy you got there, and God knows Clayton needs the attention. So
absolutely,
yeah, I have an adorable big bundle of joy who needs some attention too. So.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Another TWiT.
Amazing.